So welcome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Welcome to my webinar on fertility massage and women's issues with the lovely Samantha Crewe. So you guys have been following me, those that have followed me for a while, you know who I am, so I'm not going to talk too much about me. But basically, those that haven't met me before, I am a personal trainer, as well as a group exercise instructor. My cat is trying to knock the screen over. Sorry, I can just see the paw coming over, pushing. I've been in the fitness industry for about 20 years. And as I've progressed through my career, I've started to do stuff that relates to my life. So when I was in kind of childbearing age, I looked into pre and postnatal. And then as I started to approach menopause, I did my third age. And so, because I really wanted to kind of hit my third age and like my perimenopause, my menopause, knowing what I was doing and giving myself the best chance for a smooth transition. So that's what brought me here, basically. I am perimenopausal now. Both Sam won't mind me saying this, both Sam and I suffer from brain fog. So during this webinar, we may well forget our words. We may say things the wrong way round. But what I have discovered is most women have a unique understanding of menopause. My cats are fighting, sorry. Of menopause language. So I can babble complete rubbish and Sam will generally understand it. And I've worked with my clients as well. So hopefully you'll understand what we're talking about. I met Sam probably about 15 years ago through a wellbeing network professionally. She is a wonderful massage therapist and not just massage. She does so many things: myofascial release, neuroskeletal realignment, massage for post-breast cancer, more recently fertility massage, and she's just about to embark on something even more exciting as well. So we met in a professional capacity, became friends, and I'm always posting about how I have a massage once a month. This is the lady that fixes me, basically. So Sam, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get here and what inspired you to become a therapist?
I think initially, I mean, I always used to give my mum and my sister massages, and I actually came out working from the travel industry, and I'd been in the travel industry for a long time, and I just wanted to do something completely different. So when I came back to the UK, I started my journey with massage down in Brighton at Steen House. Oh, I can't even know. I've completely forgotten the name of the training place. But I started with just holistic massage, and everyone said to me, "Oh, you'll carry on. You'll do more courses, and you'll want to do course after course." And I was like, no, this is it. I'm going to do just holistic massage, and then I'm going to go to New Zealand and work over there because that's where I wanted to go. 17 years later, I'm still in the UK, and yes, I've done course after course after course after course. Alison mentioned a few, and it is fascinating. I mean, the human body is just amazing, and you never stop learning, and you always find new avenues to go down. And I just want to keep learning because it is absolutely fascinating.
It's funny actually, because Sam and I, when we practiced this last week, we were geeking out over some stats, which was really, we were just like, oh, that's really amazing. And so we were just like reading up little bits and pieces like the science, and because we like to kind of back things up with a bit of research as well. And we're aware there's not huge amounts of research into fertility massage and its benefits. So we were looking into bits and pieces, and we were having a right geek fest, which was quite amusing. So let's start with the obvious question. It's called fertility massage, but is it just for fertility?
No, it's not. It's it just for everything really. So digestive, any sort of issues with the reproductive system in general. So like you've mentioned before as well, endometriosis, fibroids, polycystic ovaries, post surgery, abdominal surgery, there's just so many things that it can help with.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, obviously Sam has done fertility massage on me for my endometriosis. And it really has made the difference between me having quite acute pain during my periods and around my cycle, and also with intimacy as well. I remember going to Sam and had my first treatment with her, and it literally took the pain away from intimacy with one session. And for me, that was a massive deal. I couldn't believe the effect. So for me, I've definitely found it helps me with my endometriosis, and I do have sessions every kind of 3 months. I think it's 3 to 4 months, or when I start to feel like I'm feeling very tight or compressed around that area, then I'll go for a massage. And it also helped me with abdominal surgery. So I had surgery for my endometriosis, and obviously, with any kind of injury or surgery, you have scar tissue. And so I had scar tissue, and I'll be honest, I was nervous about it being touched at first. It was really funny about my belly button. I remember Sam saying, "Look, your belly button is wonky, Alison. I'm going to have to work around it. I'm going to have to touch it." And I was like, "Oh no, don't touch my belly button." But she did, and it wasn't that bad. And I felt the difference straight away, because everything had just gone into protection mode, and my uterus, my womb, and everything was like all kind of just protecting, and it released, and it just made things better in terms of like digestion, because well, my uterus is basically connected to my bowel because of my endometriosis. So if one thing is tight, it's going to pull on the other. So it released pelvic floor. It helped improve my digestion. And generally, my period, I didn't really get period cramps, to the extent that I don't take painkillers anymore for period pain, full stop. And that's pretty impressive. So that's the way that it's.
We hold a lot of emotional stress and trauma around that area, for many different reasons. And like you're saying about, when you're working there, it does improve the digestion, and it also can help free off the diaphragm. So it sort of enables you to breathe deeper, and, gives you more space to breathe. So, let alone menstrual pain, irregular cycles. I mean, the list goes on. I have sent you a list of benefits. So if people want to have a look at those, Alison will put them up at the end.
Yeah. So, and actually, when you say about releasing the diaphragm as well, of course, the release of the diaphragm, as well as the obvious effect of being able to breathe better. If you breathe better, you're able to be a bit calmer sometimes. If you breathe better, you don't shoulder breathe, which then tightens up your neck. So there are a lot of us that shoulder breathe all the time. And then the other thing is, and I think when I did my pelvic floor webinar, I showed a video clip, and it was an ultrasound of the diaphragm in connection with the pelvic floor. And you can actually see the two move together. And so if your diaphragm's not firing up properly, your pelvic floor is not going to fire up properly. And it's in the press, it's everywhere, kind of stress incontinence, menopausal pee yourself, it's normal kind of thing. But actually, you could make a difference to your pelvic floor by making sure that it's working properly, because you've got that diaphragmatic space and connection, as well as the obvious kind of making sure that you've got healthy pelvic floor muscles in terms of tension and stretching out as well. And then that actually brings it quite nicely into the pelvic floor thing as well. So one of the things that Sam has worked on me for as well is, and it's a menopausal thing that I've kind of had more recently, is as you go into menopause, and I do say this a lot, but your tissues become less hydrated and less elastic because of the drop in estrogen, and your pelvic floor is no different to any other muscles, your facial muscles, all that kind of stuff. So we can visibly see that our facial muscles are potentially sagging a little bit. I certainly can see the few more creases, but the same thing is with the pelvic floor. We just can't see it. And one of the things is with that tension is, if it gets too tight, then obviously you're going to get areas that get pulled. And so it is quite common for menopausal women to have, like, it almost feels like cystitis, but it's not. And it feels like it's a real tightness on the bladder, and you feel like you need to pee loads. And I had this, and I went to the doctors, and it was really uncomfortable, but we did urine samples, and there was no infection. But in the meantime, they'd just given me antibiotics just to tide me over, and they hadn't done anything. And I also have a friend that suffered from a similar thing. So the fertility massage can actually help release the pelvic floor. And I've actually gone to Sam before and said, look, I'm getting that cystitis feeling in. Can you help release? And she is able to release it. And we'll talk a little bit more about how she does that a little bit later. So it's really good for the pelvic floor. And then the other thing that we talk about, we mentioned polycystic ovaries. I'm not going to talk loads about it because I'm not an expert in this area, but I do know people that have suffered, and I've done a little bit of background research. And one of the things that has shown up is that fertility massage helps polycystic ovaries, not just with pain, but actually it enabled the hormonal balance to find the hormones to balance out a bit. And then by doing that, the participants of this experiment actually lost weight because their hormones were more balanced. So a lot of the time, if you've got polycystic ovaries, you put on weight a little bit more, and the hip to waist ratio is quite, there's not much difference. But actually during this experiment, quite a lot of the participants all dropped in terms of hip to weight ratio. So the difference between the waist and the hip circumference increased, which meant that they lost, that they'd actually lost weight. And that was from balancing the hormones.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about geeky facts earlier. So the abdomen, or in the abdomen, all muscles, including the pelvic floor muscles, organs, connective tissue, all share the same neural inputs. So for instance, if there's a problem with your digestion, the pain can often be manifested in your back, your abdominal wall, or anywhere in the pelvic region, and vice versa. So that just sums it up for me. So, a lot of the work that I do is fascial as well as realigning. And if you don't know what I mean about fascia is a connective tissue that connects all the way through your body. And it's once that fascia is out of alignment, it compresses. So an analogy that I thought of was if you've got a water bottle and you're on a plane, and then it compresses, everything inside is so think of your internal organs as inside that bottle. It compresses. So that's what your fascia is doing to your abdomen, your organs, your pelvic floor. So and also there's ligaments that connect the sacrum to the uterus. So if either are misaligned, it will in turn then misalign the other. So again, it's all just being pulled and twisted. So you add your bladder into that as well, then of course it's going to cause you having to get up 2, 3, 4 times in the night to go for a pee all the time, which a lot of women find really annoying.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a fantastic analogy, Sam. I really like that. It does explain it. But definitely when I'm premenstrual, like the couple of nights before my period is due, I will have to get up and pee 3 or 4 times. And that's also because your body releases relaxin prior to your period. And relaxin softens the tissues. So by softening the kind of the tissues and making them more mobile, then you don't have that same level of strength in your pelvic floor, which is why I think, oh, I need to pee again. And it's quite amazing what our hormones can do and how much a difference they can have. So we've kind of talked about excuse me, watching my notes here. We've talked about what we can do in terms of what it does, but let's talk a little bit about how the massage feels. So for those, I mean, some of you may have had massages, some of you may have never ever had a massage, but what does the massage entail? Is it internal? I mean, because sometimes I know some people are going to listen to this and think, oh, is she actually going to put her fingers inside me? Like some women's health physios will actually do work within the vagina. But, is it internal in that way? Is it external? And kind of what areas are kind of worked on?
It's all external. So usually working around this, definitely around the sacrum and the glutes and lower back on the back. And then when I turn you over, it's all from basically the sternum to the pubic bone, so the whole abdominal area, including obviously the diaphragm. So you know, ascending, transverse, descending colons are worked on a lot, and everything around the womb and the fallopian tubes. And it's just you know, you can feel how tight everything is, and it's so lovely at an end of a treatment when you then feel that the tissue's all lovely and soft and pliable, and everything just feels nice. And when you first start the treatment, you're feeling, you know, people's abdomen, and they're so tight. And I mean, I just can't imagine how painful that is. I mean, I luckily don't suffer with any of these problems, but I do have a lot of my clients that do, and the difference after they've had a treatment. One lady said earlier that, you know, she just felt that she was lighter, and it just felt softer, and it just the difference was quite remarkable.
Yeah, I actually spoke to a lady who had endo, just because she'd been recently diagnosed and wanted a bit of guidance and help. Well, just speak to someone that actually had it. And I did actually refer her on to Sam, and she did go and see Sam, and she was really pleased. And I know that we know several people that have endo that all see Sam regularly for it. So I actually had a look. I think it's Endometriosis UK. It's one of the big endo sites. They actually recommend fertility massage as a way of managing endometriosis pain. So it's not just me, it helps. It does help a lot of people in terms with the endometriosis, certainly. And if you are watching this and you have endo, then I would say try a treatment. You know, worst case scenario, if it doesn't change the pain levels, we're all very different. Some things work for some of the others. You are going to still be relaxed, and that in itself is beneficial. So, you know,
any kind of treatment which increases the blood flow will always help relieve, even like you say, you know, for some people it's going to be more than others, but it, you know, just increasing the blood flow also helps hormone flow. And in Chinese medicine, if there's stagnation, as in not enough blood flow, you know, or the chi, the energy, they in Chinese medicine they say it stagnates, so that, you know, you can understand that there's just no movement there. So any you know, body work is going to help people with these problems. I can't recommend it high enough, really.
So that's quite nice, actually, because you actually covered the next question, which was how does it work, and with the conditions. So we've already mentioned the increased blood flow, the
Yes.
breaking down of scar tissue, improving the tension, the freedom of ligaments, so that the organs can move. Because don't forget, we got tons of organs down there as well, haven't we? So if you think about, coming back to Sam's water bottle analogy, kind of all being twisted up, and you know, if it's all tight there, then everything that is constricted is not going to function as well as it could.
Well, another you know, geeky fact again.
Bring me a geeky fact. I love geeky facts.
If one organ is misaligned, it will impinge on the circulation to the area, therefore a reduction in blood flow, nutrients and oxygen to the abdominal cavity. So again, summing up everything that we've just been talking about.
Absolutely. So okay, so we kind of know what it is, what it helps, kind of how it helps. And actually, the one thing we haven't actually mentioned is also about its importance in bowel health as well, because increasing the blood flow to the to that area around the digestive system, and getting movement is also, if you suffer from constipation, or, you know, bowel pain and stuff like that. And for me, with my endo as well, I get pelvic floor pain, but kind of bowel pain as well. So it will help with that as well. It improves the blood flow, gets your digestion moving nicely. And I mean, we want good digestion, because if we don't have good digestion, if we're constipated, we hold excess hormones in, we don't excrete them, they get reabsorbed back into your body. And that's when you get more hormonal imbalances. And you know, when you're going through menopause, hey, let's not make ourselves any more imbalanced, hey.
And increased toxins as well,
toxins, extra hormones. And it's actually, and I've just been uploading my second month's worth of content onto my app, and there is a direct correlation between constipation and negative heart health too.
Yes, I can imagine.
So I won't go into that now, but you know, there's so many, everything's so interlinked. It's quite interesting. So how often would you need fertility massage? You know, this kind of massage to help you. Does it have to be monthly? Can you do like every 6 months? You know, would you do it weekly? What would you suggest?
Again, it's very difficult to say. I mean, I try and explain to my clients that you know your body, you know when things aren't right. I don't expect people to come back every month, you know, to have this done. But, you know, if you've got more issues, say, with your digestive system, then I would say probably a little bit more frequently. Again, if it is for fertility, then there are certain times that it has to be done. But, you know, a good sort of time frame, I would say, you know, maybe every couple of months, if you feel that it's working for you, and you want to have that done every couple of months, it would definitely, you know, be a good thing to do.
And is there a set time in your cycle when you should go for? I mean, obviously, if you're going for fertility reasons, there is a set time. But like, if you weren't going for fertility reasons,
no, not really, because it's not that it's not going to cause any problems at certain times. You know, I think any time of the month is fine. If you are still having periods, then, you know, maybe not during your period, because it could be a little bit more uncomfortable. But again, it's, you know, everyone's so different. As you said, it's so difficult to say when's a good time to have it. So, you know, I wouldn't say there's a set time, but if you have probably painful or are still having the occasional painful periods, then you might not want to have it done then.
Cool. So before we go into how we're going to have some questions shortly, and also we'll go into how can we find a good practitioner as well. Is there one thing that you could maybe show us, like kind of like a little self massage or something, or one tip that people could do to themselves quite safely?
Well, as I was saying earlier about the ascending, transverse and descending colon, shall I put my tummy in there? So basically you're coming up ascending, transverse, descending colon. So that is quite safe to do. So up, across and down. Just make sure you're coming down the right side. So you want to be going clockwise. Any kind of massage around the abdominal area is fine, as long as you're not, you know, being really deep with it, because obviously you're not sure about where you're prodding. But any kind of work. And also, one good oil to use is actually castor oil. You can put castor oil packs on, which actually help with toxins as well. But you can also use a little bit of castor oil and just sort of rub that, so that wouldn't cause any problems.
Oh, that's interesting. I've used fennel oil for whenever I've had digestive issues. I've used fennel oil to massage in, and then that ties in very nicely excuse me, because next month's webinar is on aromatherapy for menopause, so beautifully linked as well. So that's really handy to know. it's funny, after we were talking about that, I was standing talking to someone. I was just doing little circular motions, rubbing my tummy. And someone said, have you got a sore stomach? And I was like, no, but I was talking about like women's fertility massage the other day, and and I said it's just quite comforting rubbing your belly, and it is, isn't it? It's quite rubbeting. It's quite comforting. So there you go.
And that's sort of something that people have also mentioned about the treatment. It's actually quite a comforting treatment because when really do we ever get this area massage? We don't. It's usually it's neglected, really. I mean, we actually did do it in our holistic massage, but most people never ever really get that area massaged, and it's so important. And it's just like a big hug. It's lovely. I like
it. No, it's good. And it's just, you're still nice and gentle with yourself. It's perfect. I will say, and I'm going to put my hand up to this. It was a bit stupid, but because I work with lots of people that are therapists and stuff, someone showed me how to release kind of the top of my diaphragm, my abdominal muscles. And I went a bit crazy on it and did too much, and I went too deep, and I made myself feel very, very sick for about half an hour prior to teaching a class. So just remember to go really nice and light and don't go crazy. I haven't done that again. Lesson learned. Don't do that. Just go and see Sam instead. It makes a lot more sense. So that leads on nicely to finally, where can you find a good fertility massage practitioner? Now, Sam is based in London. She's based in New Cross. So if anyone is London based or willing to travel to London to New Cross, it's quite easy to get to. Then obviously when I email out this video clip, I will also put in the email details, Sam's contact details, along with some additional stats and stuff that we've talked about today. But if they're not London based, where else can you find good fertility? I mean, because there are little kind of shops that you can pop in. It says fertility massage sometimes. Where can you find a good reputable fertility massage therapist?
Well, I did my training with Claire, and Claire's website is, or for fertility, is www.fertilitymassage.co.uk, and then /therapist locator.
Okay, so I think you roboted out there again. So if you can just repeat that one more time, just because you roboted.
Sorry.
Oh, proper robot.
So www. Oh, again, yes, sorry. Right, are we okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go on to www.fertilitymassage.co.uk /therapist locator, that will have all the therapists on there, worldwide, actually.
Oh, amazing. Perfect. So yeah, because I do actually have some people that kind of live in Australia and stuff like that as well that would probably benefit from this as well. So it would be quite handy to send this to them.
No, okay, so we've definitely got therapists in Australia.
Oh, amazing. So right, I'm going to go into the chat. I'm going to read out the questions and then we'll answer them between us, because we've got lots of great questions that have come in, which are really great. So are there any sitting positions you should avoid to support the fascia around the reproductive organs?
That you should avoid?
I think she probably means, are there any sitting positions you should... Oh, it is in how you shouldn't sit as such, I think. I think what she means is...
Oh, okay. Well, crossing your legs, as in one leg over the other. If you're sat lotus positions, it's fine because it's equal. But when you start crossing your legs, it then knocks all of the hip flexors, including your psoas muscle, which comes from your back through to your hip, which then tilts the pelvis, which then in turn twists all the fascia. So crossing your legs is a big no-no.
It's funny because I've actually been round at Sam's before to have drinks, and she has chastised me for crossing my legs. So in fact, both my partners sat down, crossed our legs, and she went, don't cross your legs. So but there we go. That's a great question. Thank you. Next one, how often, oh, sorry, I missed a question out. Are there any stretches that complement the fertility massage?
Stretches. Well, again, in line with what I've just mentioned with the psoas muscle and the hip flexors knocking your pelvis out of position, is a deep kneeling lunge. You've got to protect your knee when you're doing it, because it is quite a deep lunge, and you need to feel that coming up into your hip flexors, which you will then in turn feel with the fascia across your abdominal wall. So I don't know if everyone knows what you mean by kneeling lunge, but maybe Alison can put a little.
Yeah, I can put a little YouTube clip on there or something so that you can see it, or add it in, and I'll add it into the end of the video. At this tech lark now. Brilliant. How often should you have fertility massage to feel relief from menstrual pain?
If somebody's, monthly really having a lot of problems with that, then I would say once a month. If you're really suffering, which a lot of women do, then once a month. And then if it's improving, and then say after a couple of months of having the massage, then you go the third month, you go, actually I'm not getting as much pain, then you then just go, okay, we'll miss a month and we'll do the next month. So I do firmly believe in people just coming when I want people to understand their bodies and understand when they need to come. And that is, I think, what I do sort of say to you and to a lot of my clients. You know exactly when you need to come and see me. So I don't expect people. I'm not going to say, right, I'm going to book you in for the next 12 months every single month. I just want people to actually sort of start feeling the benefits, and then we can then elongate that time so that it's working. It's working.
Well, that makes a lot of sense as well, because I mean, a lot of the time, and it's the same with people coming to you for normal massage. Sometimes I refer people on to Sam, who I take on as PT clients, and they're broken when they come to me, and I send them to Sam to fix them, and then we work with them to help maintain whatever's broken into being fixed. And probably the first couple, initially they'll probably have to see Sam quite frequently, because if you've spent 10 years sitting in a bad posture, with bad posture, or doing something, doing a particular movement predominantly with one arm or one leg more than the other, then you will have built up muscle, you would have fascia, and your body is going to be angled towards that. So it takes a while to break it down and find that balance. So that's a really good point. Let's go into the last question and then we'll finish up. Are there any activities you should avoid after fertility massage?
Again, what I tend to tell people not to do anything for at least 24 hours, maybe a little bit longer, if for example you're getting sort of not lower back pain. But I do work quite deeply into the psoas muscle, which is connected to the last four vertebrae of your back. So if those muscles have been worked on, and then you then decide to go out and go to the gym, your muscles can easily go into spasm to protect, and then that's not a good thing. So ideally I would wait 24 hours at least after having the treatment before you then start doing any exercise.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I know from experience when I've had sessions with Sam, especially when he releases around my lower back, sometimes it takes me a couple of days to reset. And so that I'll be walking home and I'll get the odd random tweak, because I tend to get rotated pelvis, and so one bum cheek works more than the other, and then all of a sudden when I've been realigned, both bum cheeks have to work equally, and the one that's slightly lazy starts kicking off. It's like, oi, you're making me work, what's going on here? So I always think it's good to have that little bit of time to if anything, if you have any kind of therapy, you need to reset, don't you?
Yes.
So, and I generally find that it chills me out so much that I need to have a bit of a nana nap afterwards.
you either feel completely energized or because your body's just trying to adjust to its new surroundings, basically.
Yeah, but there you go. Right, well, we have gone 10 minutes over today, but that's because we had so many great questions, and I think it was worth it getting those in. So I have recorded this. I will send you an email with the recording of this in the next week. I'll also attach the links to some further studies if you want to read up on it, and Sam's contact details as well, and also a link to the Fertility Massage website as well. So if you need to look for someone, you can find someone. And I think that's about it. Unless you have any other questions, I'd like to say thank you so much, Sam, for giving up your time this evening to chat with me. Obviously I've been treated by Sam for about 15 years now. And honestly, going to see Sam regularly has taught me so much about my body, which means as a personal trainer, I can understand people's bodies so much better as well. But, even now, just the other day when we were going through this, I learned even more stuff. So it's brilliant. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your evening to join us.